Welcome to Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salcido, and tonight we are continuing our review of The Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show over on the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And there are many ways to support the show. You can always do that through sharing and liking and rating and reviewing the show. You can also check out the Patreon feed for as little as $1 a month and get all the extra content there from when I first made that page. And you can check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts with different designs, as well as some other items as well. And that'd be coffee mugs and sling bags and aprons, and eventually other things too. And support is never expected. Oh, and they're all the designs are all made by friends of the show as well. So, but support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. And so please also remember to check out the links at the beginning of every episode description. There you'll find links for friends of the show. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who is usually the co-host with me on Saturdays, and then also Michael Strange of Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows, along with my own 24/7 online. And you only have to press that play button once, as long as you're online. So that's a really nice feature. And I believe that takes care of everything. So this is, again, like I said, we're continuing our reading and reviewing of The Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. A couple of things to keep in mind. The words I'm going to be reading, are Charles Fort's own words and ideas and thoughts. And we may not all agree with those thoughts. So that doesn't mean they're mine, just so y'all know, unless I say otherwise. And we can go from there. Also, uh, there may be some things you hear in these books, because I'm going to review the other three that he had out on these topics. You may hear some things that seem that he talks about as being anomalous, but maybe have been figured out, and just so things that may have been figured out since then that he talks about as being anomalous. So be aware that would happen, or that might happen, because this book came out about 100 years ago, literally. So also, always be aware. I will make mistakes in reading, because words are hard and names are hard, and some words and names are not even in English, and that is the only language I know. And so I apologize for that in advance, but that will happen. It's happened before, and it will happen again. So I think that takes care of everything. And thank you all for being here in the chat. I see all the chat there. Thank you all. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's to do these shows and to be associated with other friends that do shows and all these things, and finding each other that way. It's amazing to have that happen. So let's get to the material here and get back to this. So here we go. We were at the start of a long paragraph, and so that's quite the compliment. I appreciate that. In the chat there, says Sean says, you remind me of an honest or more honest, I guess, Art Bell. I appreciate that. I do my best to be. I make plenty of mistakes, but I try to always be honest with whatever I'm doing, whenever possible. So, but anyway, let me get to this material here because we have a long paragraph to start with. Also, you may hear sounds in the background that will be my heater turning on because I live in Michigan and nights are getting cooler now. So we're getting closer to, so we're just starting September here as we record, and I'm excited because pretty soon it'll be October and Halloween. So, so anyway, back to the book here. Starting now, it says, "Nothing in our own times, perhaps, because I am thinking of certain notes I have, has ever appeared upon this earth from somewhere else so openly as Columbus landed upon San Salvador, or as Hudson sailed up his river. But as to surreptitious visits to this earth in recent times, or as to emissaries, perhaps, from other worlds, our or voyagers, sorry, not our, or voyagers who have shown every indication of intent to evade and avoid, we shall have data as convincing as our data of oil or coal burning aerial superconstructions." And again, keep in mind, he is talking about, in a way, UFOs and or aliens, and alien uh, just being unknown or unfamiliar. So back to the book here. But in this vast subject, I shall have to do considerable neglecting or disregarding myself. I don't see how I can, in this book, take up at all the subject of possible use of humanity to some other mode of existence, or the flattering notion that we can possibly be worth something. Pigs, geese, and cattle. First find out that they are owned. Then find out the why-ness of it. I suspect that, after all, we're useful, that among contesting claimants adjustment has occurred, or that something now has a legal right to us, by force or by having paid out an analogs, sorry, words are hard, of beads for us to former, more primitive owners of us, all others warned off. That all this has been known, perhaps for ages, to certain ones upon this earth, a cult or order, members of which function like bellwethers to the rest of us, or as superior slaves or overseers, directing us in accordance with instructions received from somewhere else in our mysterious usefulness. But I accept that in the past, before proprietorship was established, inhabitants of a host of other worlds have dropped here, hoped here, I'm sorry, hopped here, wafted, wafted, sailed, flown, motored, walked here for all I know, been pulled here, been pushed, have come singly, have come in enormous numbers, have visited occasionally, have visited periodically for hunting, trading, replenishing harems, that's quite the word, mining, have been unable to stay here, have established colonies here, have been lost here, far advanced peoples, or things, and primitive peoples or whatever they were, white ones, black ones, yellow ones. I have a very convincing datum that the ancient Britons were blue ones. Of course, we are told by conventional anthropologists that they only painted themselves blue, but in our own advanced anthropology, they were veritable blue ones. Annals of Philosophy 14-51. Note of a blue child born in England. That's Stavism. I don't know what that means, but anyway. Giants and fairies. We accept them, of course. Or if we pride ourselves upon being awfully far advanced, I don't know how to sustain our conceit except by very largely going far back. Science of today, the superstition of tomorrow. Science of tomorrow, the superstition of today. Notice of a stone axe, 17 inches long, 9 inches across broad end. Proceedings of the Society of, not sure, I'm not sure, ANTS period is an abbreviation for something. Anthropologist of Scotland, 1-9-184. American Antiquarian, 18-60. Copper axe from an Ohio mound, 22 inches long, weight 38 pounds. Let me see. Atner Anthropologist, NS 8-229. Stone axe found at Birchwood, Wisconsin, exhibited in the collection of the Missouri Historical Society. Found with, in quotation marks, the pointed end embedded in the soil, in quotation marks. For all I know, may have dropped there. 28 inches long, 14 wide, 11 thick. Weight 300 pounds. Or the footprints in sandstone near Carson, Nevada. Each print 18 to 20 inches long. In parentheses, American Journal of Science, I guess it would be 3-26-139. Close parentheses. These footprints are very clear and well defined. Reproduction of them in the journal, but they assimilate with the system, like sour apples to other systems. So Professor Marsh, a loyal and unscrupulous systematist, argues the size of these footprints, and especially the width between the right and left series, are strong evidence that they were not made by men, as has been so generally supposed. In quotation marks there. So these excluders, stranglers of Minerva, desperados of disregard, above all, or below all, the anthropologists. I'm inspired with a new insult. Someone offends me. I wish to express almost absolute contempt for him. He's a systematic anthropologist. Simply to read something of this kind is not so impressive as to see for oneself. If anyone will take the trouble to look up these footprints as pictured in the journal, he will either agree with Professor Marsh or feel that to deny them is to indicate a mind as profoundly enslaved by a system as was ever the humble intellect of a medieval monk. The reasoning of this representative phantom of the chosen, or of the spectral appearances who sit in judgment or condemnation upon us of the more nearly real. Let me just check on chat real quick. And okay. So looking at chat here. Oh, kittens. Yeah, there's almost always chat in here in these shows about kittens or cats. Anyway. So yeah, this is amazing here. These objects, these stone axes that are 300 pounds. That is just really wild. And here, I had forgotten about this, but Fort talks about giants and fairies as well. So you have the massive figures and the little folk, in a way. Anyway, let me see here. Okay, there we are. That there never were giants upon this earth, because gigantic footprints are more gigantic than prints made by men who are not giants. We think of giants as occasional visitors to this earth. Of course, Stonehenge, for instance, it may be that as time goes on, we shall have to admit that there are remains of many tremendous habitations of giants upon this earth, and that their appearances here were more than casual, but their bones, or the absence of their bones, except that no matter how cheerful and unsuspicious my disposition may be, when I go to the American Museum of Natural History, dark cynicism arises. Rise. Let me try that again. Dark cynicisms arise the moment I come to the fossils, or old bones that have been found upon this earth, gigantic things that have been reconstructed into terrifying but, in quotation marks, proper, in quotation marks, dinosaurs. But my uncheerfulness, the dodo did it. On one of the floors below the fossils, they have a reconstructed dodo. It's frankly a fiction. It's labeled as such, but it's been reconstructed so cleverly and so convincingly. Fairies, in quotation marks, fairy crosses, in quotation marks. Harper's Weekly, 50-715, that near the point where the Blue Ridge and the Allegheny Mountains unite, north of Patrick County, Virginia, many little stone crosses have been found. That's fascinating. I never heard that before. Looking at the chat here again. What if Stonehenge was a fire pit? That's from Dawn there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of these places. It's weird though, because I mean, I wonder if can sounds be used to help generate heat? Is that even a possible thing? Because I've heard that there's been some work done on places like Stonehenge. I think even Stonehenge itself, where they've done reconstructions, like digital reconstructions of how it would have appeared when it was all the stones were standing and everything was in place. And they said, I forget where I heard this or saw this, that that certain if you made certain sounds or did certain things, it would make certain sounds and vibrations that would move around the whole Stonehenge structure. So I don't know. Let me see here. I lost my spot. That's okay. I'll find it again. Because, okay. Did I actually skip a page? I may have. Let's check on this again. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. Oh, no, I was on the started page. I lost my spot because I had not started the page yet. That's always lovely. Anyway, back to the reading here because we only have a few minutes left in this episode. A race of tiny beings. They crucified cockroaches. Exquisite beings, but the cruelty of the exquisite. In their diminutive way, they were human beings. They crucified. The quotation marks fairy crosses in quotation marks, we are told in Harper's Weekly, range in weight from 1/4 of an ounce to an ounce. But it is said in the Scientific American 79-395 that some of them are no larger than the head of a pin. That is amazing. Wow, never heard that before. And I say that because when I did a series of shows on the books of Charles Fort, I just had had summaries made of them, so I didn't really go through every little detail. And this was one of the details that I did not get in the summaries I had made. It says they have been found in 2 other states, but all in Virginia are strictly localized on and along Bull Mountain. We are reminded of the Chinese seals in Ireland, and they mean not animals, but designs, objects. I suppose they fell there. Some are Roman crosses, some St. Andrew's, some Maltese. This time we are spared contact with the anthropologists and have geologists instead, but I am afraid that the relief to our finer or more nearly real sensibilities will not be very great. The geologists were called upon to explain the fairy crosses. Their response was the usual scientific tropism. Geologists say that they are crystals. Let's see how much more. Yeah, no, we're not going to have time to finish this paragraph in this show. So we will leave this for the next one. But yeah, so this has been a lot of fun as usual. Sorry for my mistakes as always, but it's not always easy to read and talk at the same time and do it well. So thank you all for listening in. We will continue this if you're here for the live stream. We'll continue this and definitely one more episode here for tonight and go from there. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.